Hello friends. What happens when the raw, fiery drive of Aries meets the wild, galloping spirit of the horse in Chinese astrology? You get a human whirlwind, passionate, determined, wildly independent, and born to chase greatness like it's the only thing that matters. These people don't just enter rooms, they charge into them. They're the kind of people who leave you wondering, was that a person, or a force of nature? Let's dive deep into the soul, heart, and dark corners of the Aries born in the year of the horse, a cosmic cocktail of fire and freedom that never plays small. Love, a romance like a forest fire. Aries horse lovers don't simply fall in love, they explode into it. There's no hesitation, no overthinking, no cautious testing of the waters. The moment their heart stirs, they dive headlong into romance like they're charging into battle, armed with nothing but raw emotion and sheer conviction. For them, love is a full-body experience. It sets their blood on fire, accelerates their heartbeat, and temporarily blinds them to anything that isn't you. Their affection is immediate, intense, and impossible to ignore. When they want you, they'll make sure you know, through words, through actions, through a magnetic presence that makes you feel like the center of the universe. But don't mistake this heat for impulsiveness alone. When Aries horse falls, it's because they believe in the connection, no matter how sudden it might seem. They're not chasing love for fun, they're chasing the kind of epic, all-consuming romance most people only read about. They don't flirt, they conquer. Charm flows from them effortlessly, and their body language does half the talking before their mouth even opens. Early in a relationship, an Aries horse will flood your life with energy. Texts that make your heart race, compliments that feel electric, spontaneous surprises that leave you stunned. It's like falling in love with a thunderstorm, thrilling, unpredictable, and a little bit dangerous. But that storm isn't chaotic for no reason. Beneath their flirtatious surface lies a soul hungry for truth. They may enjoy the thrill of the chase, but what they crave is realness. If they sense you're playing games, hiding your true self, or manipulating their emotions, they will retreat faster than you can say. Mixed signals. They want vulnerability, not control. Fire, not fluff. Love, not strategy. Their heart is too wild to be caged by pretense. Yet, paradoxically, their biggest romantic requirement isn't intensity, it's space. Emotional freedom is vital to their happiness in love. They need to know they can breathe, dream, and wander without being tethered too tightly. Clinginess is suffocating to them. If their partner starts to lean too heavily on them, ask too many questions, or try to regulate their every move, the Aries horse will feel cornered and start looking for the exit. Their perfect partner doesn't hover, they soar alongside. Someone who gives love without chains, who knows how to enjoy closeness without losing personal identity. Emotional maturity, trust, and personal independence aren't preferences to the Aries horse, they're deal breakers. And jealousy? That's the fastest way to burn the bridge. They interpret distrust as a lack of respect, and nothing turns them colder, faster. This is the lover who sends flowers to your office, just because, who picks you up at midnight for a spontaneous road trip, and who whispers wild, ridiculous dreams in your ear just to make you smile. But after those bursts of passion, they'll often vanish for a moment, not out of cruelty, but necessity. They need solitude the way fire needs oxygen, not to isolate, but to reignite. Their independence is not a threat to the relationship, it's a vital part of what keeps them emotionally balanced. If you understand that, if you don't panic when they go quiet, you'll discover something rare, their loyalty. When an Aries horse truly gives their heart, it's not a temporary flame, it's a blazing torch they carry through the storms. They will defend your name, protect your dreams, and stand by you through chaos and calm alike. When they love with reckless courage, unfiltered, unwavering, and completely sincere. Loyalty to them is not just about monogamy, it's about vision. A shared mission, a joint rebellion against mediocrity. Aries horse lovers are drawn to partners who inspire them, not with beauty or words, but with boldness. If they see you chasing life the way they chase it, fearlessly, unapologetically, they will see you not just as a lover, but as a co-pilot. A kindred flame. And once they trust that you're in it for real, they'll offer a kind of devotion that is both ferocious and rare. They won't promise you calm seas, but they'll build a damn good ship and sail with you into any storm. Sex, an untamed adventure. Let's get one thing straight, sex with an Aries horse isn't just physical. It's elemental. It's the kind of encounter that leaves your body shaking, your mind spinning, and your soul wondering what just happened. It's like trying to harness a wild stallion made of lightning and instinct. They bring the full force of their fire and freedom into the bedroom, and what results is not a performance, it's a conquest, a celebration, a rush of raw human electricity. Their sexual energy is immediate and undeniable. You don't guess if they're attracted to you. You feel it in every glance, every touch, every breath they take near your skin. They're fearless, uninhibited, and often a little bit unpredictable, and that's exactly what makes them unforgettable. Adventure is their love language between the sheets. Aries horses don't do routine. They can't survive in the land of missionary position every Tuesday. Their bedroom is a playground, a battlefield, and sometimes a stage, and they expect every experience to be different from the last. Hotel rooms, kitchen counters, starlit forests, daylight detours. No place is off limits when it comes to their spontaneous lust. They live for the surprise, the forbidden, the bold and slightly dangerous. Their imagination is endless, and they're constantly testing boundaries, not out of rebellion, but curiosity. What new pleasure can we discover? What haven't we tried? They're not necessarily into taboo for shock value, but they are into pushing the edge of comfort. And the moment it all starts to feel too predictable, their fire starts to flicker. But this wildness isn't mindless. Beneath the passion is a requirement, connection. You can't fake chemistry with an Aries horse, they'll sense it immediately. The physical act alone, no matter how thrilling, isn't enough to keep them coming back. They need to feel something: admiration, challenge, intellectual heat, emotional electricity. If you're not mentally stimulating or emotionally authentic, their interest will vanish like smoke. They don't just crave pleasure, they crave a partner who meets them on multiple levels. They want to know that when you touch them, it's not just their body you're after, but their essence. If they sense you're disconnected or playing a role, the passion dies instantly. They want sex that feels real, where the boundaries between mind, body, and soul blur into something unrepeatable. That said, Aries horses aren't selfish in bed, far from it. They're passionate lovers who take just as much joy in your pleasure as their own. They read the room, your breath, your eyes, the tension in your hands, and they respond. They want to blow your mind, not just for their ego, but because it fuels their own fire to see you completely undone. They'll adapt, they'll learn your desires, they'll push your limits, but only if you're brave enough to communicate them. What turns them on more than anything? Enthusiasm, active participation, someone who's just as excited, just as bold, just as willing to explore the unknown. If you're shy, they'll tease it out of you. If you're dominant, they'll meet you with resistance, and likely love every second of the struggle. Still, even the most generous Aries horse lover needs to feel wanted. Desire, to them, isn't just a spark, it's oxygen. They want to be seen as irresistible, not just physically, but energetically. Compliments, flirtation, admiration, it keeps their passion alive. They love to be pursued. They love knowing you can't wait to touch them. If you stop initiating, stop appreciating, or take them for granted sexually, you'll watch their fire cool in real time. They thrive on being adored, not idolized, but genuinely desired. That's what keeps them engaged, knowing the heat is mutual. Knowing that what you share behind closed doors is never routine, never taken for granted, never boring. Sex with an Aries horse is not for the faint of heart. It's for the bold, the curious, the emotionally available, and the unapologetically alive. If you're looking for deep, electric, soul-rattling connection that constantly evolves and surprises, they're your match. Just remember, keep it real, keep it spontaneous, and never let the fire die. Marriage, a wild promise. For Aries horse individuals, marriage is not a quiet promise whispered in the still of night. It's a roaring declaration shouted into the wind. It's not that they're afraid of commitment. In fact, when they commit, they do it with every fiber of their being. But what terrifies them is the idea of losing themselves within the structure of it. The conventional idea of marriage, rigid routines, repetitive roles, the slow creep of predictability, feels like a threat to their core identity. They don't fear love, they fear domestication. To them, the idea of giving up freedom, spontaneity, or personal growth just to be settled is not romantic, it's tragic. They want passion and purpose, not just comfort and security. Before they'll say, I do, they need to know they'll still be able to say, I am. They only take the plunge into marriage when they've found a partner who is not just a lover, but a mirror, someone who matches their speed, mirrors their fire, and respects their need for space. Aries horses don't want to be tamed, they want to be met. They'll gravitate toward partners who challenge them intellectually, emotionally, and energetically, the kind of person who can run beside them without trying to hold the reins. They have no interest in conventional gender roles or cookie-cutter lifestyles. Their ideal marriage is an evolving adventure, a passionate, purposeful, equal partnership where both individuals are constantly learning, building, dreaming. They're not asking for perfection. They're asking for movement, a shared mission, a mutual refusal to live life on autopilot. Within the marriage, Aries horses are deeply protective and fiercely encouraging. They don't just support their partner's dreams, they ignite them. They'll push their spouse to take bigger risks, speak more boldly, and live more vividly. They are the type of spouse who will sit front row at your performance, defend your name in any room, and remind you daily that you're capable of more than you think. But don't confuse that devotion for emotional predictability. They need constant stimulation, not just in the bedroom, but across all dimensions of connection. Emotional growth, deep conversations, shared adventures, these are the fuel that keeps their inner fire burning. If the relationship becomes too routine, too quiet, or too comfortable, they won't cause drama, but they will start to drift. Not out of malice, but out of an innate need for evolution. They'd rather stir the waters than drown in stillness. When conflict arises, and with an Aries horse, it will, don't expect silence or subtlety. They're not afraid of confrontation. In fact, they see healthy fighting as a necessary tool for growth. But here's the twist, they don't fight over little things. They argue about meaning, values, direction, things that matter. They won't nitpick your habits, but they will question your purpose. They'll push you to go deeper, to think harder, to live louder. And while their anger can come on like a thunderstorm, it rarely lingers. Once it's out, they're not ones to hold grudges. When they forgive, they do it fully, cleanly, and without hidden resentment. Their emotional life is fast and honest. They don't stew in bitterness, they burn through it. The most successful marriages for Aries horse individuals are ones where transformation is constant. They need a partner who isn't afraid to reinvent the relationship again and again, who grows with them rather than standing still while they evolve. They thrive in unions that are as dynamic as they are, partnerships where both people stay curious about each other year after year. Give them space and fire, and they'll give you loyalty and passion. Let them run, and they'll keep choosing to come home. To them, love is not about security, it's about choosing the same person again and again as you both change, evolve, and expand. And when they find that rare soul who can meet them at every turn, they become fiercely, unshakably devoted. Not because they have to, but because they want to. Friendship, the ride or die rebel. Being friends with an Aries horse is like living next to a volcano, unpredictable, explosive, but always radiating an unforgettable warmth. They're the kind of person who bursts into your life with a wild grin, an outrageous idea, and a sense of adventure that's absolutely contagious. You never just hang out with them, you experience them. One minute you're grabbing coffee, the next you're skydiving or road tripping across state lines because, why not? They have an uncanny ability to make even ordinary moments feel like the opening scene of an indie movie. There's no script, no routine, just energy, spontaneity, and the kind of magnetic charm that makes you forget about your to-do list. They turn every ordinary Tuesday into a memory you'll still laugh about in 5 years. Their presence feels like caffeine to your soul. They energize you without trying, just by being unapologetically them. People gravitate toward Aries horses because they exude a rare and captivating mix of confidence and warmth. They walk into a room like they own it, but they don't make others feel small, they lift everyone up with them. You'll notice them instantly, loud laugh, sharp wit, probably dressed in something bold or unexpected, talking to everyone like they've known them for years. But underneath that electric presence is a heart that's fiercely loyal. Once you're in their circle, you're family, and they'll fight tooth and nail for you. They'll champion your dreams louder than you do. They'll gas you up before job interviews, challenge you to stop settling, and remind you exactly who you are when you forget. And they're not fake about it. They don't flatter, they empower. Because if they love you, they believe in you, and they want the world to see what they see. But this loyalty comes with something even rarer: courageous honesty. Aries horse friends aren't here to coddle. If you're self-sabotaging, dating someone toxic, or playing small in life, they'll call you out, directly, passionately, and without sugarcoating it. Not because they enjoy confrontation, but because they care too much to watch you destroy yourself. Their version of love includes tough love. They'll tell you the truth even when it's uncomfortable, and they expect the same in return. And if someone outside the circle disrespects you, watch out. Aries horses will go to war for their friends, with words, fists, or sheer willpower. They're protectors by instinct, and their sense of justice runs deep. If they've chosen you as one of their own, you can bet your life they'll show up when it matters, even if they're halfway across the world. Still, don't confuse loyalty with stability. Aries horses are free spirits at their core. They move fast, change directions often, and follow whatever passion is pulling at them next. That means they might disappear for a while, off chasing a business idea, writing a book, falling in love, or literally moving to another country with a week's notice. It's not personal. It's not abandonment. It's who they are. They need motion to stay sane, solitude to refuel, and freedom to breathe. The best friends of Aries horses understand that their absences are not rejections, but part of the rhythm of their loyalty. When they return full force, with stories, with renewed love, and with the same fierce dedication they left with. Their friendships aren't measured in text response times, they're measured in presence, depth, and the ability to pick up right where things left off. So if you're looking for a consistent, quiet companion who checks in daily, responds within the hour, and never rocks the boat, keep moving. That's not the Aries horse way. But if you want a friend who'll grab your hand during your darkest hour, make you laugh until your stomach hurts, and drive you through the night to chase a ridiculous dream, they're it. They're the fire you didn't know you needed. The rebel with a loyalty complex. The ride or die with a wild heart. A friend who might disappear sometimes, but who will always come back, bolder, wiser, and ready to drag you into something unforgettable all over again. Business. A CEO before they're ready. Ambition isn't just a personality trait for Aries horses, it's their lifeblood. If you peeked inside their brain at any moment, you'd find 100 ideas fighting to be born, executed, and turned into something world-changing. They don't daydream, they strategize. They don't fantasize, they mobilize. Their hunger for success is less about status and more about expression. They were born with an inner voice that refuses to be silenced, a fire that can't settle for good enough. Where others see risk, they see possibility. Where others ask for permission, they're already halfway through the door, blueprint in one hand and business pitch in the other. If there's a wall, they'll climb it. If there's a system, they'll reinvent it. They're not chasing titles, they're chasing impact. And because they operate at such a high internal frequency, they often step into leadership roles long before others believe they're ready, and prove those people wrong time and time again. From childhood, Aries horses show signs of entrepreneurial spirit. They don't play house, they build a real estate empire in the sandbox. School projects? They're leading the team, designing the logo, and pitching the teacher like it's Shark Tank. This early instinct for innovation only sharpens with age. They don't wait around for someone to hand them a shot. If no one opens the door, they kick it off the hinges. Aries horses are builders, starters, movers. They are drawn to industries that reward initiative, tech, media, design, entertainment, fashion, startups, anything that blends speed with creativity and autonomy. Corporate ladders feel too slow, too political, too stale. They'd rather blaze a trail in a jungle than take an escalator in a glass building. Even when working for others, they behave like entrepreneurs, setting their own pace, bending the rules, and constantly asking, how can this be better? Routine kills their spirit faster than failure ever could. Aries horses are allergic to beige offices, fixed schedules, and tasks that don't stretch their limits. If you assign them repetitive work, their performance drops, not because they're lazy, but because they feel suffocated. To keep them engaged, they need challenges that evolve, stakes that matter, and a sense of freedom in how they approach their goals. Autonomy is oxygen. They don't need micromanagement, they need room to sprint. If you try to tame them with procedure and protocol, they'll either burn out or break out. The sweet spot? Give them a big vision, a blank canvas, and the power to make decisions. When they believe in the mission and have ownership over their role, there's no stopping them. They'll outwork, outthink, and outlast just about anyone. Failure doesn't intimidate them, it fuels them. Aries horses understand that missteps are part of the process. When something flops, they don't collapse, they analyze. Then they pivot and try again, usually with more force and clarity than before. Risk is their native language. They're not reckless, but they are bold, and they trust their gut more than any spreadsheet. This makes them brilliant at launching new ventures, testing radical ideas, and seizing opportunity before others even notice it's there. Their stamina is equally impressive. They can go for days with little sleep if the project excites them. They operate in bursts of intense productivity, driven more by passion than routine discipline. When they're locked in, they don't just work, they attack. And that energy becomes infectious, pulling collaborators and investors into their orbit like a gravitational field. As for teamwork, it's complicated. Aries horses can be great collaborators, especially when surrounded by equally driven people. But if forced into environments with slow decision makers, overly cautious thinkers, or rigid hierarchies, they get frustrated, fast. They shine brightest when given leadership or at least creative control. That doesn't mean they can't listen, they actually value smart input and outside perspectives. But their best partnerships are with those who bring structure to their speed. While the Aries horse charges forward with vision and force, their ideal counterpart is grounded, strategic, detail-oriented. Think, fire and steel. Together, they can build empires. Alone, the Aries horse risks burning out or getting stuck chasing idea after idea with no execution. But paired with the right ally, they become unstoppable. And what about money? It's not the main driver, but it's almost always a byproduct of their ambition. Aries horses don't obsess over wealth for wealth's sake. They chase freedom, impact, and legacy, and money tends to follow that kind of passion. They see financial success not as a goal, but as evidence that their ideas are working. They enjoy nice things, sure, they're rarely minimalists, but they're more interested in creating than accumulating. That said, they must be careful not to burn through resources chasing the next big thing without proper grounding. With the right financial advisor or partner, they can balance their instincts with strategy and become not only visionary leaders but sustainable ones. The bottom line? Aries horses aren't just chasing success, they're redefining it. On their terms, with their fire, and on a scale most people can't even see yet. Dark sides, the burn and the break. Every fire gives light, but without boundaries, it devours everything in its path. And Aries horse individuals are fire incarnate. Their energy, their drive, their relentless hunger for more, it's awe-inspiring when channeled. But when left unchecked, it becomes destructive. Their intensity doesn't come with an off switch. They act fast, feel hard, and react before reality has time to sink in. They live at such a high emotional and mental frequency that they often forget the world around them isn't moving at the same speed. In relationships, careers, or even everyday decisions, they can scorch what they love most, not because they're cruel, but because their fuse is short and their engine never stops. Their greatest strength, momentum, becomes their most dangerous flaw when it goes ungrounded. Impulsivity is the dragon they constantly wrestle with. The Aries horse doesn't always pause to consider the ripple effect. They leap before they look, and often, they only realize what they've destroyed once the dust settles. Words fly from their mouth like arrows, fast and sharp, with little thought for where they land. They speak with raw emotion, not calculation, which makes them compelling, but also capable of cutting deep. In relationships, they may lash out in frustration, say things they don't mean, or leave without warning, simply because the moment felt unbearable. They don't process emotions in slow motion, they erupt. And sometimes, that eruption takes out something they deeply care about. Later, the regret hits. But by then, the damage may already be done. Their challenge in life is learning to sit with discomfort long enough to understand it, not just react to it. When overwhelmed, Aries horses can emotionally vanish. They're not good at staying present in pain. Instead of talking through their feelings, they tend to disappear, physically, mentally, emotionally. They'd rather chase a new thrill, start a new project, or dive into a distraction than face the hard truths sitting at their feet. This makes them appear distant, aloof, even heartless to those who love them, but it's really self-protection. Deep down, they fear emotional entrapment. When conflict arises, their default setting isn't communication, it's escape. If things feel heavy, suffocating, or unfixable, they'll often ghost the situation and pretend it never existed. Not because they don't care, but because facing the conflict means confronting their own vulnerabilities, and that requires stillness. Stillness, to them, is terrifying. Control is another shadow they wrestle with. Aries horses have a fierce need to lead, and while that makes them powerful visionaries, it can also make them domineering when they feel threatened. When someone challenges their authority, questions their decisions, or tries to force them into a role, their instinct isn't to negotiate, it's to shut down or walk out. They hate being boxed in. They resist authority unless they are the authority. This can create friction in work, family, or romantic dynamics where compromise is necessary. If they're not mindful, their need to be in charge can alienate people, turning healthy relationships into one-sided power struggles. Sometimes they don't even realize they're doing it. The control is subtle, wrapped in charm and confidence. But underneath, it's still an unwillingness to let anyone else take the wheel. Then there's the ego, their most unpredictable battleground. Aries horses crave recognition. They need to feel seen, admired, and valued for their uniqueness. When they're celebrated, they glow. They give more, love harder, and shine brighter. But when that validation disappears, or worse, when they're criticized or ignored, they can spiral into a dark hole. Doubt creeps in, but instead of expressing vulnerability, they may overcompensate with bravado, arrogance, or reckless behavior. They'll try to prove their worth with louder action, bigger moves, or sometimes even by burning bridges to feel powerful again. It's not true confidence, it's a mask for the insecurity they don't know how to name. And unless they learn to separate self-worth from external praise, they risk riding an emotional roller coaster of highs and crashing lows. The darkest version of an Aries horse is restless, chaotic, and emotionally armored. They move through life like a storm, powerful but disconnected, chasing the next thrill while never quite landing anywhere. They avoid vulnerability, fear commitment, and keep people at arm's length even while demanding loyalty. Their intensity becomes isolating, their independence turns into avoidance. And they may find themselves surrounded by people who admire them, but no one who truly knows them. But the best version? The one who's done the inner work, who's learned to harness the fire rather than burn with it, they are a force of transformation. They can still charge forward, still light up rooms, still chase dreams with unstoppable momentum, but they do it with awareness. With intention. They understand their triggers. They own their flaws. They pause before speaking, reflect before running, and let others in. When that happens, their fire doesn't just illuminate, it warms, heals, and inspires everyone lucky enough to stand near it. Because at their core, Aries horses aren't destructive. They're dynamic. And when they learn to master their storm, they don't just change their own life, they change the world around them. Life goals. To blaze a trail no one has walked before. For Aries horse individuals, life isn't something to be endured or passively observed, it's a battlefield, a canvas, a mission. They are not content with simply existing or following a path laid out by others. They need to forge their own. Every instinct in their being tells them to move forward, to carve new lines into the map, to live with intensity and purpose. Ask them what they want from life, and you'll never get a neat, simple answer. What they want is everything, not in terms of possessions, but possibility. Freedom to choose, freedom to change, freedom to rise. Purpose that wakes them up in the morning and pulls them forward when things get hard. And legacy, the deep, burning desire to leave something behind that proves they were here, that they didn't just pass through life unnoticed. Mediocrity isn't just unappealing to them, it's terrifying. They would rather crash spectacularly than fade into a life that feels dull, repetitive, or safe. They chase impact the way most people chase comfort. This drive leads them down paths that others would never dare to take. Aries horses rarely follow a straight line. They zigzag across life with intensity and unpredictability. They may change careers 5 times before they're 30. They might move across the world on a gut feeling or leave a stable relationship because it no longer fuels their fire. These shifts aren't signs of flakiness, they're evidence of an unrelenting search for alignment. They aren't just looking for success, they're looking for resonance. When they finally discover the thing, or the person, that makes their soul feel recognized and their mind light up, they lock in. That's when their power becomes fully activated. They go from restless to relentless, from dreamers to doers, and once they commit to a vision that feels true, no one, and nothing, can stop them from pursuing it with full force. They dream big, but their dreams are never just about personal gain. Aries horses want to build something, a movement, a message, a creation, that outlives them. Whether they choose the path of the entrepreneur, the artist, the activist, or the innovator, their goal is always the same: transformation. They are visionaries at heart, often sensing cultural, social, or technological shifts before the rest of the world catches on. They want their lives to be marked by constant expansion, new countries visited, new skills mastered, new connections formed. And love is always part of that equation, not as an anchor, but as a jet fuel. They thrive in relationships that challenge and inspire them. They seek partners who not only believe in their dreams, but also have wild visions of their own. Recognition matters to them too, not for ego's sake, but because being seen affirms their identity. And deep down, they crave to be understood, not just applauded, but witnessed for who they truly are. But the journey isn't just about acceleration, it's also about evolution. Aries horses are often tested by the very intensity that propels them. They can become so addicted to movement, progress, and reinvention that they forget how to stand still. They confuse motion with meaning, assuming that if they're not going somewhere fast, they're failing. But over time, many come to realize that their greatest challenge isn't in chasing freedom, it's in understanding it. That freedom doesn't always mean escape. That commitment doesn't always mean confinement. And that sometimes choosing to stay, to build roots, to deepen rather than expand, that's the braver, more revolutionary act. Their true life mastery comes when they learn that presence can be as powerful as ambition. That the quiet moments, the ones without applause, without momentum, are just as meaningful as the loud ones. In the end, Aries horses aren't just chasing success, they're chasing truth. Their life goal is to become the fullest, rawest, boldest version of themselves, and to create a world around them that reflects that truth back. Whether they leave behind a business empire, a groundbreaking work of art, a changed community, or simply a tribe of people who were inspired to live louder because of them, they'll leave a mark. Because that's what they came here to do. To blaze trails, to shake foundations, to live so boldly that the world can't help but take notice. And when they finally understand that the greatest revolution begins within, that's when their legacy truly begins. So, who are the Aries born in the year of the horse? They are the human embodiment of ignition, raw fire made conscious, wild energy channeled into a life that never settles for average. To know an Aries born in the year of the horse is to stand in the presence of constant momentum, of ideas that spark faster than logic can catch up, of emotion that blazes before words fully form. They are lightning on 2 legs, sudden, brilliant, and impossible to ignore. Their voice carries not just sound but conviction. When they speak, people listen, not because they shout the loudest, but because they speak with the kind of clarity that makes truth feel like revelation. They walk through life like it owes them nothing but dares them to take everything. Their presence shifts the atmosphere in any room, not through ego, but through essence. You feel them before you see them. And once you do see them, good luck looking away. These people aren't built for small talk, safe roads, or color-by-number living. They were designed to ride chaos like a wave, to wrestle with destiny, to challenge whatever stands in the way of their evolution. Life to them isn't a journey, it's a battle cry. They crave experience in its most vivid form. They want love that burns, careers that thrill, friendships that fuel, and causes that matter. They were never meant to sit still, not in classrooms, not in cubicles, not in relationships that dim their light. They're restless not because they're lost, but because they're always scanning for something bigger, deeper, more alive. The Aries horse doesn't just want a life that looks good, they want one that feels ferociously true. And they'll fight, fall, rise, and repeat as many times as it takes to find that. They are not easy. Let's be clear, an Aries horse will challenge you. They'll question your assumptions, push your buttons, and test your patience. But they'll also awaken parts of you you didn't know were asleep. Their loyalty runs deep, but it's not given lightly. You have to earn their trust, respect their space, and match their pace. They don't tolerate emotional games, passive aggressiveness, or people who coast through life. If you're brave enough to ride with them, through the late-night conversations, the impulsive decisions, the quiet moments where they wrestle with their own shadow, you'll find a soul unlike any other. They are fierce defenders of the people they love, generous beyond reason, and endlessly inspiring in the way they chase meaning with no apology. To be close to them is to be reminded that life is now, and that fear is never a good enough reason to stay still. Ultimately, Aries horse individuals are not here to blend in, they're here to leave a mark. Whether that's through art, business, activism, invention, or simply the way they live out loud, they were born to matter. Every day they wake up is another chance to start a revolution, even if that revolution is just inside themselves. They don't follow the script, they burn it. They don't wait for the moment, they create it. And if you ever wonder whether that kind of fire can last, whether it's sustainable, whether it's real, just stay close. Because while their path may not always be predictable, their impact is permanent. They don't just touch lives. They ignite them. And if that's not magic, what is? If this hit home, or sparked your curiosity, don't forget to subscribe, like, and check out more deep dives on zodiac archetypes and personality chemistry. You'll find links to all my socials and more astrology content down in the description. Catch you in the next one.